I don't think a career can offer the same fulfillment. It's like going to Disneyland every day. Hi friends. So today's video is going to be all about Max and my honeymoon, as well as like a little bit of reflection on kind of like falling in love and I don't know, how we think about it as like a culture, my personal experience with it. I figured I wanted to do like some sort of vlog for the honeymoon, but I didn't want it to be like so travel guidey. So I kind of landed on like a little bit of a mix of a little bit of a travel guide and that I'm gonna like break down like where we went, what we did, and all that fun stuff. But I also just wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of reflect on the concept of love, because what better time to do that than in my honeymoon video. So that is what the video is gonna be about. If you're new here, my name is Mackenzie. This is my channel Think Too Much. I post vlogs kind of following my life in New York City, and the theme of all of the vlogs is like a lot of kind of reflection on that life in my 20s, life in New York City, and everything that comes with that, you know, just being like an adult trying to figure it out. So if that sounds like it's up your alley, feel free to like and subscribe, or, you know, consider this video your test run. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. So Max and I honeymooned in Corfu, Greece, primarily. We also spent like a day and a half in Athens, because we had to fly into and out of Athens in order to get to Corfu, but also because we were in Greece, so we weren't going to pass up the opportunity. And I'm really glad we did, because Athens was very cool. I feel like people kind of undersell Athens, but Athens was really cool.
That looks good.
So funny how bright the sun is. Look at it. So hard when it's so bright. Primarily, we were in Corfu. We were staying at the Corfu Imperial Hotel, which was very fancy. Probably like one of the fanciest hotels I've ever been in. We decided we wanted to kind of like ball out because it was our honeymoon, and we, you know, are lucky enough to be able to do that. So we did, and it was very cool. Beautiful, beautiful hotel. And they actually had a beach. It was one of the few hotels in Corfu that had its own beach, which was nice, even though the beach spots were like hard to, you had to fight for them on the days that were like beach appropriate. Which is not something I'm used to with beaches. My like California sensibilities were shook. But Corfu was really cool. We were there for like a week. And it was pretty quiet and chill, so we definitely got the kind of like relaxation part of the trip. We only did one, well actually we did two different little excursions. The first one was a kind of boat cruise to the islands of Paxos and Antipaxos.
Established by the Venetians between the 16th and 17th century, it was completed though by the French and the British according to the structure of the Italian. Now to the right-hand side of ours, we're about to see the vista through the old town, and we're about to see
And on Paxos, we went to the village of Gaios, which is this very like old, kind of ancient feeling town on that island, which was just like really beautiful. I think it was like very well kept, and it just had like a ton of charm, so that was really cool. And then Antipaxos, we didn't actually like touch the island, but the boat like anchored near the island, and it just had this like really gorgeous blue water surrounding it. And we jumped in the water, which was freezing cold, but like coming from me, that doesn't mean much. I am just like really a huge wimp when it comes to water temperatures. I can like rarely stand to be in the ocean for long periods of time. I was legitimately shivering, but it was really beautiful, so.
Beautiful color. Of course, the only way to access here the bay is by boat or by...
And then the second excursion that we did was like a Jeep safari, which was not a safari. There was like a tiny bit of off-roading. I have no idea why they called it a safari, but whatever. For the most part, we were just kind of driving around, catching all the scenic parts of the island. Luckily, this tour was like kind of on the opposite side of Corfu. So we like saw a good amount of the island itself, because when we weren't on this little Jeep tour, we were spending our evenings or our afternoons in like Old Corfu, a historical city in Corfu. Lots of interesting architecture, shops, restaurants. We ate really well there. The hotel food was like pretty good, but like oddly they didn't have any Greek restaurants, which I don't I don't know. So that was interesting. So we got most of our Greek food in Old Corfu. What was surprising about visiting Corfu was the amount of just how much it reminded me of Italy, which is the same thing I said about Nice when we visited Nice. So I don't know if it's just these like coastal, like Western European towns that I'm just like, okay, this is Italy. I'm not sure if I just like don't have the eye for it, but it reminded me of just kind of like a slightly more dilapidated Italy. And I was looking into the history of the island itself just before recording this. And also this was like mentioned in some of our tours, but there's like a heavy Venetian influence, and like not Venice, the city in Italy, but like because in the Republic of Venice, which I think like more or less just means the same influences that kind of created the culture of like Italy as we know it today had a like strong architectural influence on the island of Corfu. So I think that's why it ended up feeling like very familiar and like Italian to me, but definitely with its own kind of like flair. Anyway, it was an interesting place to visit. I'd be lying if I said it was like a must-see, but it was very beautiful, and it was kind of a good way to do the mix of like the beach vacation, because we definitely got a lot of time in the sun and time by the water, and it was just like a beautiful, serene space to be in, which was lovely, especially just after a wedding. But we also got like a lot of culture. I always think it's interesting visiting Europe, just seeing like how old spaces can be, places can be. There's just like architecture that is very clearly from just like a completely different time, and I've always found that really fascinating. And Corfu has like a ton of that. How's your vacation been?
It's been wonderful.
Good answer.
Is this your favorite view in Corfu?
I don't know, I haven't seen all of Corfu. Is it yours?
It's one of the best. I need to get that tree out of the way. It's blocking just how nice it is.
You're supposed to say yes, because I'm in it. Because I feel like when you think about goals that people have, it's like, I think most often I think of like career goals and like relationship goals. Like, I don't know, I feel like I remember going to college just thinking like, oh my god, it would be so ridiculous to go to college for like some guy, or it'd be so ridiculous to move somewhere for some guy. And I think since being in a romantic relationship, I've definitely started to like question that a little bit more. And actually, even before I was in this romantic relationship, which was like my first like long-term romantic relationship, I definitely started to question it. I just remember so distinctly the experience of having my first internship when I was in college. So it's like really my first taste of like what it would be like to be like a careered individual, and just kind of discovering how much can be left to be desired in like the career space. I think it was the first time that I actually kind of started to criticize the idea that like one's career and one's relationships, social, romantic, whatever, should be kind of considered equal. I mean, I think for anything, it totally depends on the individual. But I think for me, especially kind of growing up watching my parents' relationship, and like they were high school sweethearts and they have like a really beautiful relationship, that it was just very easy to see as like their child, just the extent to which that like added positively to their life in a way that by the time I kind of started getting a sense of like what career adult life would look like, became clear like I don't think a career can offer the same kind of like fulfillment. It certainly offers fulfillment, and like offers like a different kind of fulfillment. And it's probably kind of inspired by the fact that I'm kind of in a different stage of life right now, where it's like I do feel like kind of incredibly lucky to have found Max at like a pretty young age. And that's just kind of, I mean, obviously like we had the task of planning a wedding and then we got married, so in that way it was very much kind of still a part of the fabric of my life, thinking about my relationship in the last year. But in other ways, because that is stable and that is steady, and like romantic relationships can feel so turbulent and exciting and anxiety inducing, and there's just kind of like a lot to work out to figure out how best to like fit another human into your life. Like that challenge is true no matter like how perfect of a couple you are. So like 7 years in, I start to feel like a little bit steadier with that sort of thing, and I do think those things ebb and flow, but like at this juncture I'm like feeling pretty steady about it. Anyway, so I'm starting to kind of think more about like my career and like thinking about my path and like what my future should look like. I also think this is like a quarter life thing. So naturally, I just kind of started to like compare the two. I just think it's like a funny thing that like in society, like the two are almost made parallel. And I think for me, that would have been a mistake. I don't know. I think I've had like kind of exciting breaks in my career, and like, you know, getting that job that I really wanted, or kind of like working for the person I looked up to, like all that stuff. But it's just like, it's nothing like falling in love. And I'm sure there's like, this is like different depending on the person, it's different depending on like the career, it's different depending on the industry. So I will kind of preface all of it with that, but I just like, I don't know, I think about trying to make the two like equal or like synonymous somehow, and it's just like, falling in love is like the most insane experience, and it's something that it makes a lot of sense that people devote a lot of kind of like creative energy towards, because it is just incredibly hard to put into words what it's like to kind of find this person who you're like so obsessed with, and it just so happens that they're obsessed with you too. I don't know, there's just nothing like falling in love. It's kind of incredible. Yeah, it's like you can get a job that you're super excited about, but I just don't know that many people who are like really giddy to get up and go to work. But like falling in love, it's just like you're fucking stoked to like see this person every day, or however often you do. It's just like, it's like going to Disneyland every day. It's like Christmas every day. It's like just one of those experiences. What? And that's like the falling in love. And then I also think it's like, I think it's something you get used to, but it's still just like such a pleasure to be able to have that experience, that it's like there's someone who like comes home to me, because I work from home. There's someone who like comes home to me every day who I'm like so excited to like tell all my stories to, or it's like if something happens to me, it's like this person who I'm like eager to go like tell all my shit to, and like, you know, for the most part I can count on the fact that like he will probably care. And he will probably like engage me on it in like a way that I find interesting and fulfilling, and just like, I don't know, I guess I was thinking about, especially I guess this is also kind of in theme with a vacation video, because what is a honeymoon if not an extended vacation? Work is great, it's such an important part of life. I think it's important to like do something that you like, because it's something that you do 40 hours every week, or however many hours you do your work every week, and it's so important. But I just think it's interesting to me that culturally it feels like almost made equal to a romantic relationship, which is just not the case. So anyway, it was wonderful to have the opportunity to kind of like celebrate our love, I guess. God, it sounds so obnoxious to say, but kind of. You can be in it.
What?
You can be in it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And anyway, it was lovely, and we thank Corfu for having us, and maybe we'll be back to Greece sometime soon. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for watching. I think my videos usually, like, the themes make a little bit more sense. Like, this theme like makes sense, but it feels a little forced. But usually it's just kind of like what I'm thinking about. But this one was a little weird because I didn't want to talk in like a vloggy style while I was on my honeymoon. So we get this kind of voiceover instead. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Yeah, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.